Okay, so start please first with saying who you are, your name, where you are now, briefly about yourself.
Okay, hi Camila. I'm Kalliopi Koutousi. This is my name. And right now I'm at my apartment in Thessaloniki, Greece. This is where I am right now. And it's very hot. Yeah, very, very hot here.
And
it's nice, very nice to see you.
And this picture, I mean this painting which is behind you, I am interested also in this painting. Does it have any special value for you?
Yes, it does. It's very interesting because it's a gift from my friend who is also a Gestalt therapist right now, and she was my. We have been trained together in Gestalt Foundation. It's from my friend Amalia Apostolou, and she's painting also, and she gave this to me. It's the sea. And she gave it to me because she says that I remind her of the sea many times because I have a lot of passion and energy, and it's a moving sea. It's not stable. It has a value for me.
Because the question is, as I told you, the first type of questions are around you as a person, and would you agree with that the way she depicted you as a sea? Would you call yourself this way, that you are energetic and passionate?
Yes, I can say something about myself. Yes, I have this passion of the sea and this energy of moving. Sometimes it's very nice, but sometimes may get too much. Also, as both positive and negative qualities. But yes, I feel like that. So, yes, it is one of my qualities. Yes.
And can you name other qualities, other values, and also passions that you have in describing yourself?
Yes. Yes, I feel I like very much adventures, and I'm an adventurous person. Yes, I can also simulate with the sea. Not an easy question. I was thinking a lot about it for not having an answer, to tell you the truth. Yes. Yes, I'm a person that I like adventure. I'm a person that I think I'm really passionate about life and passionate about people. I love people, meeting people very much. And I love traveling, meaning I love having... I love meeting a lot of people from different cultures, people, things, not only people, but cultures, ways of living. I'm a curious spirit, I think. And I love I'm really curious, and I love to learn new things, to have new experiences, and to have an open mind. This is, I think, what describes me. I'm a person that I believe I try to be as much as I can open-minded, but because I think I'm also conservative at another point of view, but my other principles. But I try to think about, and I appreciate a lot diversity in people and way of living. So also I love difference, and I respect different perspectives. Always trying to find the other point of view.
What do you mean by this conservative side of you? Could you say more about this conservative?
Conservative meaning a way that I feel that although I consider myself very free spirit, respect freedom and justice and equality and solidarity, I have values definitely like that. Conservative in a way that I have, I think, some values, the way that the process, the values, maybe sometimes I'm very stick to my values. Sometimes I try to see the other point of view, but I think that there are times where conservative. How to explain? I'm not sure that I have my. I'm not sure I can explain this right, but I have my values.
Mhm.
I have values that I sometimes I believe that my values are are the ones that there should be the correct ones. How to explain this? Maybe
Mhm.
I'm trying to say this.
And
Not easy to
do you
express.
like, I mean, do you like this part of you, or you think that, oh no, we should always be open, or you uh, appreciate that part of yourself?
See, in the past, I don't think I would appreciate it so much, but after years of therapy, I think I'm trying to come more close to this part also of me, and to embody both qualities, and the free spirit, let's say, and the more conservative, or the part of me that wants more stability, you know, something like that. I think there are the two polarities,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
trying to integrate them
Mhm.
more now. Yes, in the past I thought it was more like a shadow for me, or like,
Uh-huh. Ah, oh,
or
interesting.
something that I didn't realize it. I didn't realize. I thought myself only to be very open-minded and only, you know.
Yes, yes. Uh-huh. And you mentioned values, and what about your passions besides life and people? What?
Life and people. My passions. I love very much nature.
Mhm.
I'm a nature lover, definitely. I love the mountains a lot. I love climbing a lot, and I do a lot. Um, I love outdoor sports.
Mhm.
I'm doing a lot of outdoor sports, so I love to combine sports and generally movement with body, with nature, to combine all these. Gestalt also, of course, it's one of my passions.
Mhm. Mhm.
Therapy is one of my passions, and so I do a lot of this type of
Mhm.
activities. I do some snowboarding, I did it a lot in the past.
Mhm.
But in the past I was also bicycle, but the things I like very much to move in nature, I think.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it is like, because I know you climb a lot, but is it like that you that like every once a month you feel this call of a nature and you go to the mountains, or you have like in your calendar already, like in a year in advance moments where you go, or is it, or you go after your soul, I don't know, after your instincts, or is it more planned now, I wonder?
Yeah. Um, no, it's not planted. It's something for me. It's something that I try to do whenever I feel to do. In the past, I was doing it very regularly, every week, definitely.
Uh-huh.
But nowadays, it's something that I do whenever my soul calls for it, and this is often, to tell you the truth. It's a way for me to, it's very important, because it's not like I'm doing sports there. For me, it's something deeper. It's my connection with nature gives me ground, gives me hope, gives me, my head, because of also for my work, because I work as a therapist, so I need time to recharge and reload, and nature, it's a big
Mhm.
it's a big source of energy for me. So if I cannot go there, I cannot find easy ways to recharge all this energy that I have from the city, all this energy that I have stored from my clients.
Mhm.
So it's not like I'm just doing sports or, moving around. It's a way of equilibrium of energy, of restoring energy.
Uh-huh. And why climbing? I never asked you this question actually. Why climbing?
Yes.
Yes, as yeah.
Why
Why
climbing again?
why it
Uh,
becomes such a, deep connection? Why climbing? Not why climbing generally, but why climbing has become.
so important for me.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, Okay, you know, it was love at first sight. To tell you the truth, at the beginning. So at the beginning, I didn't know why. I would just fell in love. I love the mountains at the beginning, so I didn't know why. But I think climbing has to do, when I was trying to think deeper why climbing and what it has to do with me. I think that it has to do a lot with the sense of, with a lot of issues. I think has to do a lot with the sense of grasping,
Uh-huh.
with a sense of fear, what I do with fear and how I handle fear in my life, and how climbing gives me a lot of things to consider about myself, a lot of things to consider how I manage my fears.
Uh-huh.
Because I climb, it's not that I climb because I do rock climbing with ropes and stuff. It's not that I'm not being afraid, I'm being afraid. But climbing gave me a way to learn to handle my fears, to come in contact with my body, because it's like a mirror for me. You cannot lie to the rock, I feel. You cannot lie. If you're not okay, you're not okay. Even if your mind says you go, but your body says no,
Uh-huh.
you cannot lie.
Uh-huh.
You can lie, but you can be hurt.
Uh-huh.
So it
Mm.
gives me a lot of values, has to do a lot of values of me, of the way of that I grasp and I achieve something.
Mhm.
Gives me a sense of achievement, gives me a sense of empowerment, of course.
Mm.
Feel trust, because in order to climb, you have to trust your feet a lot,
Mhm.
not so much your hands, but your feet a lot.
Uh-huh.
And you have to trust also the rope, the climbing equipment, but also your partner.
Mhm.
So it's a very kinesthetic experience and a very relational experience.
Wow.
uh, because literally your life is on the hands of somebody else holds literally your life.
Uh-huh.
So I think there is a lot of parallel with life also.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. I
So
mean, wow.
yeah, it taught me a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What are you?
Yeah. No, just amazing, amazing, and yeah. Well,
Yeah.
maybe someday soon you will take me and some other people, to one of your Gestalt exploration, and maybe
Yes,
be.
yes, 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 yes. This is why I'm thinking also to do with John. With why
Yeah.
if we do this retreat with climbing, yes, this is a plan that I have already.
Yeah.
So we're working on that.
Yeah, yeah, count me in for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, anyway, so, and tell me, the qualities you mentioned, the values you mentioned, who or what circumstances made you the way you are now? Who influenced you the most? What situation
Mm-hmm.
changed you, transformed you?
So yes. Uh, okay, starting from from young, I definitely believe my parents, both my parents, transformed me for and shaped me a lot for who I am. My father definitely,
Mhm.
and my mother. And the truth is that because I have a very old parents,
Mhm. Mhm.
I think this was also an issue that um, they were really old when I was born,
Mhm.
and I was an only child. I think this is a starting experience already that shaped me.
And how old they were then? How old?
Then my father was 53 when I was born, and my mother was 44.
Okay.
And this is just to explain to you that I think that for that time, because I was born in 1981, at the time of in Greece,
Mhm.
and for they were considered very old, and it was not something so familiar for the Greek society, especially for my mother as a woman. Okay, nowadays women give birth to their 40s, it's okay, but at that time it wasn't so okay. And a woman at her 40s, that she's not, because she got married at that time, that she didn't have a child, and it was something strange. So I think my first even experience of my, and they didn't even, it was accidentally, they didn't think that they would be able to have a child. Even them, it was like it was a surprise for them, very happy surprise, but it was a surprise. So yes, I was coming, we have because we had age difference, especially with my father. So yes, I think this shaped me a lot. Although my mother is a woman who was very open-minded for her age, I think, and this helped me. Although she was older for me, we have 44 years difference, but she's really, I feel her, she's like she was very close to me and very open-minded. And they both gave me, they were people that were very socially involved. My mother was working at an orphanage. She was a nurse. So I think I have from a very young age, when she was taking, and they were male, it was a male orphanage here in Thessaloniki. And she was taking me with her to her job, and I was playing with the boys in the orphanage, and they were my friends, and we were playing football. And I think I remember I have a lot of memories like that. And I think definitely this influenced me in a way, because my mother was she was a nurse there, but they didn't have a social worker at the time, so she was also working as a social worker with the children. So she loved the children a lot, and I think I got a lot from this environment at that time. I didn't feel that they were like poor children or something. I felt that they were my friends, although very different. They didn't have their families, but and it was not a nice environment. But still, it was very, very okay for me to. It was nice to be there. I was feeling something different. I didn't feel like they are strange or something,
Just to cut into, because that reminds me of my childhood and childhood, because my father worked as a teacher in this special school for mentally disabled kids, and he also used to take me, and I would play with kids, and well, obviously I could see some difference, but at the same time, yes, I was often surrounded by these children, and so
very nice, Camilla.
I forgot somehow about that. Not that completely, but now it's reminds.
Yes. Now that comes into my mind. I think it's an experience that influenced maybe both of us in a different way, but yes. So I think this was one. And also my father, I think he also influenced me a lot, that although I recently lost him, he died recently, he was a very sensitive person, and he was very calm. And he was very socially and politically involved. So I think he gave me a lot of. He was very patient. I think there are values that I appreciate for him a lot. He loved also the mountains. I think it's also something that I got from him. he loves nature. He was cultivating, and he did a lot of voluntary work until his big until he was really old.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of communal work, and yes, I think I grew up. I grew up in a family which I was an only child, and this shaped me a lot. And other experience that shaped me. I know this is. I think is very important. I think. Okay, of course, my education. I don't know if I should say anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that you feel. Obviously, you could write. I imagine a book about.
Of course.
We all.
What is that?
We are old enough to write a book about ourselves. Yeah, but with the moment you hear this question, so who comes to your mind, or what situations this is? I guess. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There are other situations that comes to my mind. That's why I don't know if I can say. Okay. I have two I can share. I think one was when I was at my 17 that I was going to. It was, I think, a very strong experience that I was going to give examinations for entering the Greek university, which here are very strict, very difficult examinations. I was diagnosed with a serious illness at that moment, and I was very, very scared. I think this was a very challenging experience at the time. And although I was very anxious about getting to the university and reading and stuff, I think it came to mind because it was a serious disease, and I was afraid it was a form of cancer, but it wasn't it was, thank God, it was curable. Mm-hmm. But at that time I didn't know that. So I think my experience at that time of this illness shaped me a lot gave me a lot a different sense of what life is about and what is more important. It was a awaken experience for me. So at that time I think I started to rethink. Although I was 17, I was just thinking, okay, I don't care about the school, I don't care about the grades, I just need to live and try to find another meaning. So it was a time to give a different meaning to what really matters for me, and to let go of the shoulds and the fears and stuff. And of course, I was very lucky that I got through this disease, and I was doing well. And another, I think, experience also when I was around 26, I think this was also a very interesting experience for me, is the experience that I moved from the city. I decided to move from the city for 2 years, and I decided to move on an island, on a Greek island. And it was after I studied psychology, so I finished my first degree in psychology here in Greece. I was wondering, and I was saying what I was going to do, and I said, okay, I want to live my dream, and my dream is to live next to nature. So I quit. I stopped with. I took some years, and I said, okay, I just finished my degree now, but I will take some years to wander around and to come in contact with what I really want. So I went to an island in Greece called Ikaria. I don't know if you have heard about. No. It's a famous island because it's a famous because it's one of the islands worldwide that has a very low mortal rate, a very high. People die very old, in a very old age.
Okay.
Yes. Very, how they say, mortality rate. The mortality rate is.
What's the name? What's the name again?
Ikaria.
Ikaria. Okay. I am, ignorant geographically. So
no, it's okay. It's an island. It's an island next to the Turkish borders. It's very close, and they did a lot of research why people in Ikaria they die so old.
Uh-huh.
They were trying to make that's why it's maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So went there, and
Yeah.
it was a very nice experience. So for 2 years I was living there, and in the winter I was living up in the mountains.
Wow.
And this was yes there I was. It was a very strange island, because at this island it's very strange in Greece also.
Uh-huh.
Everything, it's very slow. Everything
Wow.
very slow. You
Wow.
cannot imagine. People are not anxious about time at all. They don't care about at that time. Now it's more touristic, but at that time it's a very different mentality. It's an island. Yes, it's an island has a very special mentality. So yes, I think this also shaped me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
I
sure.
had my garden. I was, had a very different way of living next to nature.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And you
Mm-hmm.
decided to leave it and to come back afterwards?
Yes, I decided. What?
What made you to? I mean, what made you? Yeah, come back.
To live. It was because of personal reasons. I was there with my ex-boyfriend, so
Huh?
a circle closed, and
Uh-huh. But do you?
that's why I decided to come. And also to study Gestalt. I started at that time to study Gestalt.
So
It was
that's
that
the first
time.
question, actually. Okay, so go on. How did that happen? How did that happen? How did
How did that happen?
well, that you actually come to Gestalt therapy?
Yes. And also Gestalt bring me back to the city. It was a reason to go.
Uh,
Yes. Now that I'm thinking about it, yes,
uh,
this was a serious reason to come back. Yes, at that time I was my first. I will try to explain how I met Gestalt,
mhm,
because the way I met her was also strange.
yeah.
I was a psychology student, and my professor, who was at that time, she was a Gestalt therapist, but in organizational Gestalt.
Mhm,
Magda Pandelidou is her name, and she at that time she invited me to attend at a retreat. It
uh-huh,
was, I think, it was the fourth, the fifth Gestalt retreat in Greece,
mhm,
in the area of Pilio. It's in the area of the mountain, the mountains. And she invited me to be there to come as a translator, because I was speaking English. So for 2 years I came,
mhm,
and I was attending a group first time. This is the first time that I met Gestalt as a translator, as
uh-huh.
a Greek
Oh,
translator.
yeah.
So the first time I was attending a group. The group facilitator was John Porking he was a Danish,
Uh-huh.
and it was a organizational Gestalt group, and I was really surprised,
Uh-huh.
and I was really shocked by the experience. And I think it was something that from the first time I felt in love. But not by reading about that, by experiencing literally
Mhm.
how Gestalt is for me, because I took part in the group also, and it was a revealing experience. And I remember I remember that also the idea that it was a retreat, it was up in the mountains, something that's really helped me a lot. It was very close to me, and I found there a lot of my pieces. I
Mhm.
felt like I found a place where a lot of my pieces were there. Awareness, responsibility, connection with others, with nature, with the body.
Mhm.
Yes, experiential work, authenticity, which are qualities that I really like.
Mhm.
And it was an intense experience, because it was also from the organizational perspective, it was a male energy, I would say. And I was really shocked my first experience. I said, whoa, I was afraid, but I like it also. I felt like that something was moving inside me, I felt something
Mhm.
strange. And on the second year, I also attended, I also as a translator, and I met Sue conqueror. Also, I don't know if I remember her last name correctly. And she was a female energy. She was more like, how to explain it? I feel like the one style, the male style, was more confronting. It's like the more confronting part of Gestalt, and the next year, I think that I met the most supportive part of Gestalt for the woman. And it was that year that I took the decision, yes, this is for me. And I decided to start my training at Gestalt Foundation in Thessaloniki. And this is how my journey with Gestalt starts.
But this was like, because you said that you were living at that moment on this island. How?
Yes, I was living the island, and so I started my training in 2000. In 2006 and 2007, and I was moving. I was coming from the island the last year to have the training and go back. To have the training and go back.
In this way, okay.
And in the winter, I moved up to the mountains. So I was coming from the mountains down to the to study Gestalt and going up again. Because I was working at the ski resort center at the winter time. That time.
Okay.
So yes, the first 2 years was like that, but because it was 4 years of training, but the last 2 years I settled down and also had to start my practice with people.
Yeah.
But also, finished that circle of my life, so I decided to come back.
Oh, well, nicely said. Finish that circle of my life. Do you in Greek, or this is like? Yeah, it's a circle.
It's completed. It's completed. It was completed. Finished. The Gestalt was completed.
My Gestalt, I don't know if they were completed or rather unfinished. This is
at the moment, I think, Camila.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, this summer I'm going back to Ikaria after 2007. I think now I will reopen this Gestalt. It's the first time that I just booked my vacations for this summer.
Okay, and you. Wow, you need to, write me down the name, so maybe one day I will go there too. But you said that it's touristic already, but nevertheless you want to go there.
But nevertheless, yes, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
It's very special. It's a very special area. It's also famous for its folk fiestas. There's a lot of fiesta.
Wow.
Very famous fiestas that they're doing, the people. Okay. Although during the coronavirus, it's forbidden. I don't know. It's a very different time that I will visit this past island.
I told you that I had that interview with Antonia, and she was speaking with me from some holiday resort near Thessaloniki, by the way. So she probably know where she was at that moment. But anyway, she said that it is different because of this virus, that there are only Greek people there on the beaches, and
yes, it's a very different summer. We will see. No fiestas, because they and a lot of things that are now forbidden, because this is also part of Greek culture. It's a very communal. The dance, we hold hands, and it's a very important part of the culture. But now, because of COVID, this way of contacting is forbidden. It's not safe.
Yeah. And so it is like this fiesta that takes place in summertime, you mean? Like
mainly, yes, mainly. It takes place every time there is a holiday of a saint in the Orthodox Church.
Great.
But mainly now in the summertime. So people come together, they cook together, they drink together, and they dance together. This is
great. And how is that, combined with tourists coming and so on? Can they take part, or they are simply observers, or do you speak more of local?
No, especially in Ikaria, what is very very special, because this, also to explain to you, this tradition comes from the ancient Greek. It reminds of the Dionysiac fiestas. It has a very ancient, very ancient roots
So
in Greek history.
Okay.
It's ecstatic dance. It's very ecstatic dance and contact. And very interesting is that everybody, you can see from a 90-year-old grandfather dancing to an 8-year-old child or 5-year-old child. And you can see from rich people to poor people. You can see foreigners. And people are very open. Also, the people from Ikaria are very open, and they invite foreigners a lot, and they dance all together. And it's a way of meeting society. It's a way of this type of society of everybody. Equalities that do not exist under this dance, after this fiesta.
Yes.
And it's a very important part, I think, of the culture.
Okay. Wow. And coming back to Gestalt therapy, still, but maybe it is, in fact, the question is about your, because as you said something now about Greek culture, I wonder, does this Greek culture influence your way of doing Gestalt? I don't know how to put it otherwise. But how do you do your Gestalt? How do you work with people? In what ways? I mean, not generally in office, but do you, I don't know, put more attention to something and else? I mean, like I am aware of how important social and political factors are for Greek people, for you also. So
yes,
how would you say what's
okay, I'll try. I don't know if I'm sure about. I'll try to answer. If I don't, you tell me.
It's not. Go on, please.
Look, I think that what I can answer to you is the way I can answer to you is that I've seen therapies from different cultures, and I think, of course, culture has to do. It's a factor that influences the way we work. It's not the only factor, of course. Personal factors and interpersonal factors matter, but I think yes, culture plays a role. It's part of the background, definitely. So yes, of course, as the Greek culture, also what I want to say is that something that for me personally, what I perceive, it's something that now is changing a lot. What Greek culture used to be some years ago is not the same now. The socio-political climate atmosphere has changed definitely. So although Greek culture used to be more communal, more social, nowadays, and I think especially after the crisis, the economic crisis, but generally the global, I think this global crisis situation, Greece has started to become more an individualistic society from my perspective. It loses a lot has lost a lot of, for a lot of culture of communal things have been lost, I think, in one way. They have, although crises have make people to become more active in some other ways socially, but I think in some other way people in Greece have become the socio-political movements have a big failure right now after the crisis, and they are through a depression period from my perspective. This is totally personal. So yes, I believe that definitely also what is going on my socio-political, I'm very socially and politically sensitive, So a lot of my work is influenced by that. I'm very concerned about the issues of power when I work, issues of gender, issues um, of social inequality, or I'm really concerned. Definitely, yes, this is something that I have in mind. And yes, I think another cultural issues that, if I can say, we as Greek are more extrovert. I believe also this, and we are more high-tempered also, which is good, extroverts, but also very strange. So, for example, when I come in contact with therapists from Gestalt therapists from other countries, I feel different qualities of contact. For we as Greeks, I think we are really high-tempered. How to explain? How to say the way we work? Contrast to Central Europe, maybe, or British, which have a very different temper of and issues of contacting. I feel more distant. Let's say, how to explain this. This is generally, but generally not in a prejudiced way. But I don't know if you agree. What do you think? Also,
yeah. It is not about prejudicing and or asking you to speak stereotypes. It's just the moment when you start speaking about this communal whatever.
Fiestas, let's say, or festivals, or
yes,
fiestas.
I immediately thought what a great resource it is for a society. And so I thought, what's the role of therapists then? Do they take some I don't know, advantage of that, or like when you work in Thessaloniki in your office, it's only a background. It's not that present. People are now more concerned with their individual things, as you said.
Yes. This is what I believe, because yes. But still, of course, there is in the culture, there is this background, this history of communal work and being together. Although this can lead to confluence, let's say, if it's too extreme. But this is something from the culture. I believe that we see in Greek culture, where I can say, although we can come together, but we can become really confluent.
Okay. Do you think of anything specific now when you say
confluent?
Yes.
The way that the Greek family, I think, it's organized, and the way how I think this is a different, what I see, because I have worked also with people from not Greeks, but who have lived, who have grown up in other countries, and I see some differences in the way, for example, Greek culture and German culture has a lot of difference in the grow up of the children, and this has to do also with the family, but also with the social system, because Greece, doesn't have such a strong, for example, give Germany as an example, doesn't have a strong economic system to support as German culture. When young people, adolescents want to get a job and stuff like that. So, for example, now in Greece, especially now that it is the crisis, and in the past years where there were wars and economic issues, I think this influenced a lot the way the family was organized. Because if you are a young teenager and you want to get out and find now a job, okay, imagine now in Greece. Now in Greece it's not easy. You cannot go to find a job so easily. Unemployment is so high. So a lot of young children right now, they have to stay with their parents. And this is not a matter of choice or easy choice, because there is no job, not even support from the state. So this condition, I think, it supports confluency and another type of relationship and dynamics. What brings, do you understand what I mean? If you are living, for example, in Sweden, in Stockholm, I don't know, and you have or in UK, and you have support from the state, you can find a work. So autonomy, it's more easy there. Do you understand? So here in Greece, we have these, after the crisis, especially the phenomena of people at their 40s, 30s, living with their parents and going back to their home. I think this makes a reality and a psychology also.
Yes.
An atmosphere. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, interesting. Simply, yes, it sounds logical to me. I guess we have it differently, not like those countries where the welfare state is supports its citizens better, but but it's interesting for me to listen to. And when you work with individuals then, or you said that you work also with foreigners? Is that I understood you right, that you work?
I work with foreigners also, yes, but also with Greeks who have brought up abroad and came back maybe to Greece, and yes, I'm working also with these people.
And throughout these years, when you started your first work with clients, with people, then have you, I don't know, has your work somehow changed? I mean, do you work now with some specific segments of people, or simply individually in your office, or you work also with groups, or you work for some organization? I don't know.
Yes. Yes, that at that moment I work only. At that moment, I don't have any groups that I work. I work only private at my office, and I have individual therapy. But in the past, I went through a lot of voluntary work with organizations. I was working. I was working. I worked with ex-addicts. In the past, I have worked with ex-addicts. I was working with in an orphanage with children. I was working in the prison here in Thessaloniki with women prisoners. I was for 3 years. I was going in the prison. Yes, and I worked some period for a research project for caregivers for Alzheimer's disease, and also with women who have been in an NGO with a woman who have been abused. With women generally. And also in the last years I was doing group work. I was really interested working with young parents, and I was working with a group of young parents having very small children from 0, let's say 1 to 5, and I was really interested also in that group of people. Because I believe that this was because after working with all this marginalized population, very hard population, it wasn't easy. I was thinking that how important it's to support the parents, and how important it's to go back to the beginning of the root of the issue. Okay, it's very nice to support, of course, all this population, this marginalized population, but also it's very important, I think, to support the fathers and for the parents, and to help, because it's a very difficult role. Although I'm not a parent myself, I was really identify with this role and trying to find a way to support them to bring their children, not to have their children psychologists, but to have a better parent. I think this is more important.
I forgot, I guess you mentioned that when we first met, or maybe you were working with them at that time, but it is now when you were saying, like it was kind of continuum, as a process that made you to this work with parents. It sounds, wow, it sounds nice. And and I imagine that this work with marginalized people, it's yeah, you've been, as I know you, I imagine you worked a lot and were deeply committed, and now you are enjoying your life as a therapist of individuals in your
No, yes,
yes, that's
yes, yes, yes. This is true. Yes, 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 yes. This nowadays I decided to step back,
okay.
and work not so much right now with groups, and it's something that I learned, I think, through years, that and something that I feel very much appreciated of my teachers, all of my teachers here in Greece and abroad, that they have taught me. And I learned a lot from Gestalt, that in order to take care of others, I have first of all to take care of myself. This is something that I need to always do. My job and Gestalt therapy also helps me to I try to remind to myself, sorry. And I think it's something very important, that sometimes, yes, I have to go back, to take a step back and do some inner work and support myself in order
And I
to
guess
support others.
it is generally this quality of therapists, no, that we need this stepping back, and it's so difficult for us, no, and I would even associate your kind of story with working with people with activist careers, let's say, that there is always a moment when they need to step back, otherwise there's too much, simply. They are burnt out, and then they can recharge, as you said, and come back maybe at some point, but otherwise it is I mean, impossible to be so active.
Yes, 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 I agree totally, Camila.
And what do you think, what would you, this is like the last question, more or less.
Question.
What would you like to do in the future with Gestalt therapy? What would you, yeah, what is the future of Gestalt for you, and yeah, and for you privately, like as a therapist?
Yes, I to tell you the truth, I have a dream for Gestalt, and I have a dream. I would call it like that. I have a dream, and the dream is for me to become more, to communicate Gestalt to the wider social community here in Greece and worldwide. This is my intention. Yes, I really want to find ways to communicate with the community, without to come in contact with other people, and also to bring out the values of Gestalt to the field, to the society, and to interact with that. Not for me, what is very important for me, that Gestalt is not something that it's something personal for me, that I do only for myself. Okay, of course it is personal also, it's my work, I live out of it, of course, but for me it has a deeper meaning, and the deeper meaning is to open this up to the communal space, and interact with these values, to live with these values, and to find ways, although there are ways that we try to do that here in Greece, through voluntary work or through lectures we give, but generally I think, and in worldwide, in other countries, for example, I would like to collaborate with people from, that's why I was thinking about John and New Gestalt Voices and things like that, but also here in Greece. This is what I'm thinking.
Optimistic about that, or you have your, I mean, optimistic that yeah, that this is a momentum and this is a good moment for us to do it.
I think it's a good moment for us to do it. And I think it's a necessity to do it because, especially in Greece, Gestalt, it's not something that it is dominant in the universities. So if we people of Gestalt, I think it's essential for our work and for the existence of Gestalt in Greece. If we don't cultivate it, it will cease to exist. Not I don't know if it will cease, but it will be something very private and elitist for some people. I don't know what,
Yes.
cut out of what is going on,
Yeah, just an approach, just a modality.
Yes,
With
yes,
no
yes.
broader message, so to speak.
Yes, and I think it's also what's also something some people also started here in Greece, and I think it's very important is to start dialogue with other perspectives. I'm also very positive to that. I think that we should not be cut off not only from society but also from other perspectives.
Yeah.
So there was 2 years ago, if I remember correctly, there was a meeting here in Thessaloniki with psychodynamic perspective, with more relational psychodynamic perspective. Which yes, there are a lot of things to have dialogue with it.
Yeah.
I think this is also what I also I like of Gestalt, to expand also, to expand in different ways.
Yes, yeah.
This is what I dream of.
Yes.
And of course, me personally, through that process.
Yes, of course. This is how I understood it, and yeah, so it's a good moment to stop, and we'll come
Closure.
back. Yeah, and we'll come back when the stream, at least we two, when the stream will be put into practice and so on.
Yes,
Exciting.
yes,
Camilla. Thank you, Poppy, for this.
Thank you. Thank you very much also. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I will stop now.